Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be anywhere. I've just been sitting in the quarantine trying to figure out something to do. I've been trying to lose weight because I'm skinny, but I've got this gut. And if I were stocky, you wouldn't even notice this. But a skinny guy with a gut is not a good look. No one's ever like, you got a good body. You look like a snake ate a pig. So I've been on this diet called Whole30. If you've never heard of it, for 30 days you eat nothing but steak, vegetables, and fruit. Then your body sheds pounds through a process called diarrhea. And I was so excited when I started the diet. I bought a calendar and filled out the entire thing on day 1. I was like, oh, they let us eat carrots, so I'll have Yankee pot roast. Then day 2, I'll fry perch fillets in arrowroot flour. And day 3, I'll make homemade lettuce wraps like they do at P.F. Chang's. And then I gave up and ate hot dogs with a fork for 26 days. I just have bad habits. I've eaten garbage my whole life. Like, to this day, I will eat almost anything cheap. Almost. Not anything. Sometimes food's too cheap. I'm not comfortable with the price. There's a hot dog place where I used to live. To this day, the sign says $1.49 hot dog and fries. And I was like, ooh, that's too low. I'm gonna give you $3. And then whatever you normally do to make it $1.49, don't do that on mine. I think I ate too much because for 10 years I was broke and I couldn't eat anything except ramen noodles. And that's depressing. You don't feel healthy eating a dinner that's less expensive than gum. At least you spit gum out. Ramen noodles stay down there until they're done with you. Although they do give you your FDA daily recommended allowance of salty brown water, so that's good. Everything on a ramen package except the word noodles is a lie. Chicken and mushroom ramen, false. What am I supposed to be like? Ooh, chicken and mushroom. That's a classy ramen. I gotta wear pants when I eat that. How do you put two things on a package that are not in the package at all? Chicken, how about beige dust ramen? I would accept that. I saw a ramen with a recipe suggestion on the package. How about adding chicken? How about adding chicken? How about you do that? What am I handling that on my end for? And if I had chicken, I wouldn't need to add your plaster noodle brick to it at all. Chicken's fine on its own. It doesn't need a dirt pouch you wrote chicken on the top of. And if I had chicken, I wouldn't be shopping in the 35-cent aisle. You can't ask me to add something that's 20 times more expensive than the shit that you are. You know what would be good with this is some lobster. Yeah, probably would. I wonder how I forgot about lobster. Why would that slip my mind when I was buying my dinner at Walgreens? I've watched so much Netflix since this whole thing started. I don't want to know. I'm glad it doesn't tell you. I love Netflix, but there's one feature that I don't understand. I wish they wouldn't do it. Because if you're done watching anything on Netflix, any episode of any show, the minute it's over, they just start the next one. They don't give you any time to think about whether you need to go to work the next morning. A 9-second countdown is not enough time for me to weigh my obligation to my employer against finding out how that kid got stuck in the wall in Stranger Things. Not even a heroin dealer does that shit. When you're out of drugs, he's not already on your porch going, I got your next bag, buddy. 9, 8, 7. I'm on Venmo. I work from home. That's how you get paid now. And I love the Venmo app. I love getting money. It's great, except for one feature that I don't understand. Because when you pay anyone in Venmo, you have to type in this box what it's for. And they don't let you leave the box blank. And then whatever you type in the box gets sent to everyone in your phone that has the Venmo app. And people are just fine with this. With just blind texting their financial history to anyone they've ever split brunch with. They'll even put it in emojis. And if you ever for 1 minute thought that there was no such thing as white privilege, go on Venmo. Scroll through the what it's fors and see just how little effort your white friends are putting into disguising their obvious felony drug purchases. You have to have a Caucasian level of lack of fear of cops before you are willing to let everyone in your phone know that you spent $300 on snowflake nose lightning bolt. You've got to be sure that the worst consequence of that Venmo is another Venmo. For Dad, courthouse money bags. One good thing about all this is that I haven't been to the airport in 5 months. I don't like flying. I've had bad flights. Last flight before this thing started, there was a medical emergency on my plane.
Ooh.
The guy ended up totally fine. But there was a really tense moment where the flight attendant got on the PA and she was like, "Are there any doctors on the plane?" And I was like, "Not flying Spirit, there's not."
You're right.
You're on the wrong airline for your doctor hunt. It's $35 extra to get a co-pilot on a Spirit flight. And I immediately felt bad for the Spirit flight attendants because there's never any doctors. But if they were like, "Are there any DJs or people taking real estate classes?" There would have been a mob scene on that plane. They were like, "It's an emergency. Is anyone driving both Uber and Lyft?" They could have held tryouts. That's one thing I'm not doing in the pandemic is taking Ubers. I'm sorry.
No.
And I feel bad because I know that Uber drivers really need the money, but I'm just not comfortable. I'm too scared. Just because there's no way to be 6 feet away from anyone in a Kia Spectra. It's not built for that. Like, honestly, I don't feel safe. I would actually feel safer riding on the hood, holding on to the car, whipping around corners, dangling off the back with my feet in the air like a bad guy in a fucking John Wick movie. My own car is a Ford Fiesta, which is
Nice.
the perfect name for that car. Because every day behind the wheel is a party. It's a different kind of party than maybe you're used to. Not a lot of people at the party. It's 2 people at the party. And you're not in a bar either. You're in a mechanic's office. And no one's dancing. It's just the mechanic going, "Yeah, I don't know why it does that." But when you're 46 and married like me and you drive a Ford Fiesta, something has gone wrong. There has been a wrong turn somewhere to get me behind the wheel of that particular Ford at my age. Because Ford spends a lot of money on marketing to let you know, just by the name of the car, what stage in life's journey you're supposed to be at when you select that particular model. They're like, when you're in your 20s, life is a fiesta. But when you're 30, it's time to focus. And when you're 50, you need to escape. I feel bad for everybody, man. It's so weird to just be. I'm glad they made a comedy show because we need something just to get us through living through these insane times. I mean, these are crazy times, scary times. And by that, I'm referring to a time in history when the #1 rock band in the world is Imagine Dragons. And maybe you like a couple of their songs, but the #1 band in the whole rock genre? It's depressing. Could you imagine explaining that to Kurt Cobain? Jimi Hendrix? Freddie Mercury? They'd just be like, yeah, I'm cool with being dead. I didn't need to know that the culmination of my life's work was a band that sounds like if Coldplay and Post Malone wrote a musical about Vin Diesel. I feel bad for young people right now, people in their early 20s, and not just because of the pandemic, but just because they're taking their first steps into the adult world, and the baby boomers are still here to kick them in the face at the top of the stairs. How are they still here? They smoked their entire lives. How are they still here? Who knew what a powerful, life-sustaining force arrogance was? Who knew all you needed was some coffee and an annual Don Henley concert to recharge your self-righteousness? And you could live to shit on high school kids that were born when you were 60. The baby boomers have been here now to shit on 3 consecutive generations. My generation, then the millennials, and now these kids. And they're mad at the wrong people. They're mad at 21-year-olds, but they keep screaming about millennials. They're like, the millennials. The millennials. The millennials are 38. Are you mad at your doctor, Grandpa? Is that the millennial? And the stuff they're mad at makes no sense. They're like, well, these kids don't want to work. They want to get high and play video games. I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard that before. Because that's what you said about me in 1996. You can't just remix your old diss track. That's what you said about my generation when you called my generation Generation X. We didn't come up with that. The baby boomers did. You know why? I looked it up. Generation X was the name of Billy Idol's band. Billy Idol is 63. He was just the youngest guy they could think of. They're like, I'll tell you who you're like. You're like that Billy Idol. You want more. I wish they would just be honest and admit that what they hate is not based on any specific generation. It's just what older people have hated about younger people since forever. Just admit it and be like, look at you with your thick, dark hair and your functional genitals. Bunch of narcissistic show-offs hopping around on TikTok on your original hips. Then they'll say things like, well, this generation isn't serious enough. Well, yeah, they're 20. Of course they're not serious. You know what I was doing when I was 20? I was deciding which Jester skull sticker to put on my bong. They're like, well, this generation, they're going to have to deal with climate change. They're not preparing for climate change. They're not even thinking about climate change. They're just sitting around playing Fortnite. And I'm like, oh, Fortnite? Do you mean the game about the last surviving generation of humanity? Scrounging their neighborhoods for resources? Fighting with bats and knives over the last remaining medicine? Hiding out in hand-built wooden forts while a hostile weather pattern slowly renders their town uninhabitable? Because they might be further along than you think. I do like playing video games. I also read books. But I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, the book is always better. When they make a movie or a TV, they're all like, oh, the book is always so much better. Not always. I have a horrible visual imagination. Books depend on me. HBO has 37 artists with master's degrees in making medieval armor. Their version of Game of Thrones is going to be way better than the piece of shit production my brain put on. With the castle from He-Man and Lego Knights and a dragon I bought with skee-ball tickets. But all that nerdy stuff is cool now, man. It's not fair, right? People just do it whatever they want. They read it. If you wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was in high school, you needed 3 friends who could keep it secret. I've been lucky during the quarantine. I've been home with my wife, which is great. I love her very much. Her name is Angela, and we met. I knew immediately that she was the one because I've been in a lot of relationships where I knew she was not the one just as quickly. I've been in some relationships that were like a free preview of the Stars Network. I was like, well, this is fine for now, but it's not worth $40 a month. We got married late. I was 43 on my wedding night. But I didn't know we were having an old people wedding. I didn't know we were old. I don't think anybody does. I think in your head, you're whatever age you were the coolest forever. In your head. I'm not saying you are that cool. I'm just saying no matter what other people see when we walk in the room, in your head, you got your Jinko pants on, your Sublime hat, ready to rock out with your wallet chain out. Then you open your mouth and some old guy shit comes out. And you're like, oh yeah, I've been here a while. Here's how we found out we were old. We were planning the wedding and Angela goes, we need to tell our friends that my mom is gonna have her pool open till midnight so they don't get drunk and try to break into the hotel pool. And I was like, our friends are 40. They don't break into their own homes when they're locked out. They wait quietly for the locksmith. We need to tell our friends that your mom has coffee so they don't go to bed at 11. I think that's a more likely problem this wedding's gonna run into than the great hotel pool heist. Ocean's 43. We went to Ireland for the honeymoon. We stayed in Airbnbs up and down the coast. I think Airbnb is usually the best choice on vacation for whenever they let us go anywhere again. They're cheaper than hotels, they're nicer. The only problem is that sometimes the person who rented you the Airbnb is still there in the other part of the house. I didn't know that was a thing, but that is a thing. And that should be a whole different app called like I'm okay with a creep B&B. That's never happened to me when I rented anything else. I've rented a ton of cars, but I've never had to drive the Enterprise guy around Ohio. But we get to Northern Ireland, and this British couple is there, and they're like, hello, I'm Martin, this is Emma, and we'll be behind that door with our 12-year-old daughter. And I was like, that is not acceptable, Martin. I cannot have honeymoon sex under these conditions. And you get rated in the app. I don't want to be looking at Airbnb in a month and see, I think he had his knee on her hair at one point. And I think she would have gone a second time, but he got tired. 2 stars. My wife has 3 sisters. They look a lot like her. And at 2 points in my life, one of my idiot buddies has said something along the lines of, is it hard not to think about trying to have sex with him? And I was like, no, because I'm not a character from an American Pie movie. But I will admit that if you do have a spouse with a sibling of the same gender, there will always be a tiny bit of attraction there, regardless of how beautiful that person may or may not be. Just because that's a woman who looks a lot like my wife, that has never once grabbed me by the face and said, "I am not your fucking mother!" That's hot. It just is. We're trying to have a kid, which is hard when you're old. I mean, I'm 46. My wife is 40. It's not easy. Especially now, I mean, it's no guarantee it's going to work at all, even with all the medical shit. It's not like when you're 19 and you just share a pair of earbuds with somebody and now you're pregnant. We're trying this thing called IUI, intrauterine insemination. Is exactly as fun as it sounds. And it's tough, man. I really hope it works. I really do. But if it does, I don't know what we're going to tell that kid when they ask where babies come from. I'll be like, well, when a man and a woman love each other very much, and the woman has excellent health insurance for her job, and they provide her with $30,000 worth of fertility care, then the woman takes hormone pills called Clomid. And they increase her follicle size, but they also make her smash a porcelain serving tray because the man left a 25-cent sponge in the sink. Then the man goes to a room in Westwood with nothing on the walls and masturbates into a Tupperware container. Then they inject that into the woman. She goes home and stabs herself with needles 3 times a day for 2 weeks. And then 9 months later, a child is born that better be fucking grateful. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. There's been a lot of anxiety. I love Los Angeles. I like it here. I've lived in LA now for 15 years. I didn't grow up here, but I moved here long enough ago that it seems different from the city that I moved to. And I'm sick of people that keep moving here from other places who won't stop talking shit about it and how much better it is where they're from. And to those people, I say, fucking go back there then and eat some of that pizza you won't shut the fuck up about. I like Los Angeles. It's diverse. It's so diverse that when you hear racist bullshit, it's almost surprising. Like, I was in line for hot dogs, and these 2 white guys were behind me, and one guy looks at his buddy, and he goes, "There's so many Mexicans in this city, it might as well just be a Mexican city." And I was like, yeah, 'cause it was. Until 1847, when we conquered it from Mexico. If you don't want a city full of Mexicans, don't conquer one. It's not like when they saw us coming, they all left. They were just like, hey, we still work here, right? We took the whole Southwest from Mexico. We even left their name in one of the states. We called it New Mexico. You know what the new part was? Us. I appreciate the diversity when I go on the road because I go to cities that have no diversity whatsoever. Like Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Des Moines, Iowa, and everywhere in Iowa. And I don't feel comfortable. It's just too many white people all at once. Like, I can't handle it. And it's not that I'm not comfortable around white people. I'm very comfortable around you, sir. And it's not that I'm not comfortable being white. I know I'm white. Of course I'm white. And I'm not just white. I'm like white. I bought this outfit. I was like, fuck yeah. I have I Love You Man on Blu-ray. I know why the Uber driver switches to the Killers when I get in the car. And I'm mad that he's right. I'm like, no, I like it. God damn it. I just can't handle when everybody's white. It's weird, right? I'm not prepared for it. And again, I am not talking about small towns. They had white kids, then they had white kids, and then nobody else moved there. That's not their fault. I'm talking about mid-sized cities like Des Moines where people move to there because it's all white. because they just want to eat ham for the rest of their lives. I don't really know why. I don't understand that mindset. I don't understand their values, and when I go there, I don't like their activities. And I know that as white people, we take a lot of shit for cultural appropriation, taking other people's food and clothing and music, and that is bad, in theory. But you don't really want to see the shit we come up with on our own. Ever been to a dueling piano bar? If you haven't, that is where two 50-year-old white men go head to head on piano, and music loses. And I am not saying that white people are the only people that play piano, but we are the only people that add a second piano to a first piano to a song that was supposed to have no piano whatsoever. And we're the only people that make piano versions of Baby Got Back. I'll take the late laugh. I love a late laugh. That's a man in charge who's like, I don't care when these people are laughing, I'm going now. There's white supremacists. I don't understand that at all. And I've met a lot of cool white people, but I don't think I've met any that I would describe as supreme. And they're not proud of their ethnic heritage. They're proud of their skin color. They think white skin is the best skin of all the skins. And I've had it my whole life, and it's horrible. I took my shirt off in Hawaii. I thought I had to go to the emergency room. I am twice as likely to get skin cancer as anyone who's not covered in this stuff, and I can't take it off. I'm basically made of cigarettes. And if this was the best skin of all time, why is it the only skin where people who were born with it pay other people money to have it painted over? Like, if this was so great, why is there a business in every neighborhood where white people pay hard-earned money to be spray-painted Mexican? And you would think if this was the best color, then it would be the most popular of the sprays. They don't even make it. The only available colors are Mexican and Beyonce. That's all they got. And white supremacists think that every single white person on the planet is better than everyone who is not white, and that theory doesn't last. Even if you think about it for 3 seconds, you realize that our side starts with Honey Boo Boo, Alex Jones, Ted Nugent, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, everyone named Vanderpump, every Real Housewife except Atlanta, Papa John, PewDiePie, Pauly D, both Insane Clowns and their posse, the Catch Me Outside girl, and the My Pillow guy. Some people hate Jewish people. I don't understand that. Because when you argue with them about why they hate Jewish people, they always give the same reason. They're like, because Jews love money. Doesn't everybody? Is anybody on payday going, don't give me that shit? That shit's for Jews. Pay me in fireworks. I'm glad there's a recession. A lot less Jew devil paper going around. And when celebrities get caught saying anti-Jewish things, they say they were drunk. That's what Mel Gibson said. Helen Thomas, John Galliano. I've never bought that excuse once. Because I've been drunk a ton. And never once have I been like, dude, I think those beers are kicking in. How can you tell? Kind of started to hate the Jews. I finished that third fat tire. They seem quite suspicious. And you've never looked at your buddy and been like, dude, are you even cool to drive? Yeah. What do you think of the Jews? I think they started all the wars. Give me your keys. I will say this for white people. Scary white people are the scariest people in the world. Because if I see a black guy and he scares me, and that happens sometimes, I'll be honest. But when it does, there's a voice in my head going, that's just racism. But you see a scary white guy, and you know that son of a bitch is dangerous. Put your blizzard down and back out of the Dairy Queen. Think about it. Who's the scariest guy in prison? The white guy. Why? Because he's guilty. Black prisoner might have been framed. Mexican guy maybe didn't have a good lawyer. The white guy fucking did it. They got the CSI shit out on that case. You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.